I wanted to obviously mention Oxlade-Chamberlain because he was training with Celtic today. He's obviously signed on to the end of the season since we last had a Celtic podcast. Obviously, we're recording this before the match against Livingston on Wednesday night. But do you guys think there's actually a realistic chance he could start against Livy?
I don't think he'll start. I mean, he hasn't kicked a ball in anger since May when he left Besiktas. So I do think he'll be involved in the matchday squad. I'd probably be surprised if he wasn't. I wouldn't be, if Celtic are winning maybe by 2 or 3 goals, I don't. You'd probably expect him to come off the bench at some point, make his debut, and get up and running. I've heard this argument about Oxlade-Chamberlain and how he's obviously been out of action for so long, but it was the same with Julian Araujo as well. I think he'd played 1 game in something like 9 months, but he came in and hit the ground running, and he's been excellent for Celtic, as we touched upon earlier. And fans are already clamouring him from the start, and he's reached some top levels already. People are saying he's even better than Alistair Johnson. So he hasn't taken a lot of time to get up and running. So I think it's obviously a different position. What Celtic need to do carefully in the case of Oxlade-Chamberlain is make sure they don't overload him, because I think that's exactly what happened with Kelechi Iheanacho. Obviously, Iheanacho came in just after deadline day in the summer. Celtic desperately needed him to start right away and lead the line, but I think because there was so much pressure put on him, so much reliance on him, and Brendan Rodgers was really hanging his hat on him to start most games, injuries caught up with him, and he's obviously faced a lengthy spell out of action. He's come back, obviously, and he's looking a wee bit rusty, but again, he'll take time to get up to match fitness. So I think that's what Celtic just need to be a wee bit wary of with Oxlade-Chamberlain. He is only in the door for until the end of the season with the option to extend that. So you really want to get the most out of him. So I think, like they've done with Kieran Tierney as well, they've carefully managed his fitness. They've gradually built him up, and now Tierney's looking as robust as ever. He took a sore one at the weekend there. But he's still. I believe he's still going to be available for the game against Livingston. So he's been fit and available for the majority of matches. So they need to make sure Oxlade-Chamberlain is as well, and just gradually manage him and get him up to peak fitness. And I'm sure Celtic will reap the rewards from that.
Well, that's the problem, but they don't have time. They don't have time to wait for him to get up to peak fitness. I mean, Celtic got 14 league games left in Europe, and also the Scottish Cup as well. They don't really have time to say, we'll take 4 or 5 games, we'll give you half hour here and 40 minutes there, then an hour. They don't have that option. I think Celtic need Oxlade-Chamberlain in the team and performing, because I think it's almost like the key to the rest of the campaign for Celtic, to get control of games, to dominate teams again. I think he's got to. He's a deal to the summer. He's got 14 games. I think he's been training for 3 months. I think you've got to lob him in from the start this week, and try and get an hour at him in each of these games at the weekend, because Celtic are going to need this guy for these big games that are coming up, because I don't think they're equipped to deal with these games without him. So it's a case of, I think it might be a case a bit like Iheanacho when he came in at Celtic, and Rodgers thought, well, I need him to play because I haven't got any choice but to throw him in, and let's see how he reacts. The difference between Iheanacho was he turned up. We'd seen that he didn't look fit. We'd watched him for Middlesbrough. I mean, let's be honest, looking pretty unfit. So it wasn't that big a surprise to see him turning up, not fit, and then breaking down. Whereas Oxlade-Chamberlain, by all accounts, has been training full pelt at Arsenal since November. I know it's not match fitness, but he's only going to get match fit with playing matches. I think Celtic need to go, you know what, we've taken a chance on you. I'm sure he's not on washers. He'll be earning decent money as well. I think it's one of a bust for Celtic now, this time of the season. They can't afford any slip-ups. I think and hope that he can stay together and get through this spell. Listen, I would let him. He can't play in Europe, so that's 2 games right away. So then you're missing. So he's only got 14 games in a cup tie. He's got 15 games he can play this season. I mean, there's no time to muck about. It's straight in, mate. Patch yourself up, take a deep breath, and get through this to me.
I just think I think there needs to be a kind of realistic expectation, though, because the fact that he hasn't played for so long, I know I made the point about Uli Arojo, but then you've got obviously the example of Kelechi Iheanacho, when as I said, you've overloaded him with games. So I do think if he is going to make an impact, I don't think he should start tomorrow. I think that would be too early for him. You know, Celtic have got options in the middle of the park. They might not be at their best form at the minute, but you've got Arnie Engels, they rejected £25 million for. You've got Callum McGregor, who's the first name in the team sheet, the captain, and then you've got Benjamin Negrin, who's the top goal scorer.
When do you start him then? Because once you get through these two games, I mean, you get home game against Livy and away to Kelly.
Yeah,
you think, well, it's too early for him now. So then you start him against Hibs, big game. You start him against Rangers, big game.
I think
away, big game. So at some point, he's going to have to get in and get these games on his belt. I mean, I think this is an ideal game to get. I think if he's toiling after half an hour tomorrow night, then deal with it. I just think he's got to get in and get moving. I don't think there's any choice to kind of. I mean, the Tierney was different. I think they brought in Sriracha, and you think they can rotate the two of them, and also actually get injured. But I think he's got. That was a start of the season, and you get 38 games to go. Like at 14 game sprint for the line now.
I personally, Mark, would have been the Hibs game. You know, you've got Livingston tomorrow, as they come off the bench for half an hour. You've got Rugby Park and artificial surface as well, which
not ideal. Yeah,
and then you've obviously got the Stuttgart game, which you mentioned, that gives him a full week's training, and then Hibs. I think that's the game which he should probably be targeting to start, and then from there, you've got against Stuttgart, then you've got Ibrox, Pittodrie, and then Ibrox again. So I think if he can start that Hibs game and really get motoring, then I think that's a realistic timeline for me, rather than throwing him in the deep end right away against Livingston and obviously Kilmarnock's artificial surface. I just think that might be a bit risky.
Martin,
I think you can't have any risk. The games over that 10-day spell are going to make or break the season.
Yeah.
You need to know if this guy's robust enough to cope with it, and you only will know if I'm playing.
You would think Martin O'Neill was obviously clever enough to know that, look, if this guy's going to take 3-4 weeks to get up to speed, there's no point in it.
Season can be finished in 3 or 4 weeks.
Exactly. Yeah. So surely there's something, and again, as you say, Ryan, he's not played since May, but there's got to be something that tells O'Neill, right, this guy could come in and hit the ground running. Because like we said, there's no point otherwise. Again,
another thing as well is what you've got to consider is he has got a kind of dodgy injury history, especially in recent years as well. So again, that is a factor that you can't just ignore that. So the worst thing you can do is throw him in there and he gets injured, and then that's him out for 3-4 months. I agree. The fixtures coming up from essentially Stuttgart onwards or make or break. Those 4 or 5 games they're going to define Celtic's season. So yeah, as I say, I think if they can gradually phase him in over the next 2 games against Livingston and Kilmarnock, and then get him really motoring for the game against Hibs, then I think that might be the thinking with Martin O'Neill. But I could be totally wrong. You can start tomorrow night, score a hat trick, and everything I said has been a lot of nonsense.
Listen, we're never wrong in the Celtic pod. We're never wrong now. Just to finish on Oxlade-Chamberlain, I've put some photos on the screen there if you're watching a little bit earlier on with these various trophies he picked up in his time at Liverpool. I mean, if he's even 75-80% of the player that he was down there, I mean, that is a game-changing signing, Mick, I would say.
Well, that has to be the kind of hope. He's not going to be the player he was back then. He's 32 now. He has had injuries. He's a bit of a mixed bag out in Turkey. I mean, it's various spells out the team, either with injury or just. I think he got bombed out the team by Gio Van Bronckhorst for about 5 months at one point.
You're right.
There's a few kind of clashes of personalities behind the scenes and all that stuff. So he has had the kind of couple of years of not doing an awful lot. But there's no doubt his quality. I mean, we've all seen it over the years. I mean, he was top notch at Arsenal and Liverpool. You don't get to be a Champions League winner or a Premier League winner unless you're a top quality player. But that's a while ago now. So it is going to be interesting to see where he is. I just think that the time to kind of ease folk in gently is now past for Celtic. It's now these are the last throw the dice stuff for Celtic.